Hey YouTube, welcome back to my channel. And today I would like to share today I would like to share you guys my journey of how I flew to the East Coast and how I spent 1 week in the East Coast and then and my journey back here to Texas. So so we left on July 6th, which was the day we were gonna leave Texas so we could, excuse me, so we could go to New Hampshire. And so we flew from Texas to North Carolina, and and our and we landed in North Carolina around 10, but it was around like 10 in the evening, and it was really late and we were all hungry, but and all of the restaurants were running out of food, so all we had was snacks. So and then our flight was delayed to because we were supposed to fly right away to Boston, but our flight got delayed. So we stayed overnight at the airport in North Carolina, and we got and then in like 6 in the morning, I think, or probably 5 in the morning, our flight to Boston was finally here, and was finally in North Carolina. And so we lined it up for our flight to Boston, and we flew from North Carolina to Boston. And then my brother, he drove from New Hampshire to Boston so he could pick me and my parents and my sister up take to take us to New Hampshire, because he lives in New Hampshire, and my brother and my sister-in-law and my nieces and nephews live in New Hampshire. Yeah. So yeah, we were going there so we could visit my family there. And so we stayed at and so we stayed in New Hampshire for and we stayed in New Hampshire, and my sister-in-law, she ordered pizza, and their pizzas were really good. I forgot what was the name of their pizzas, but it was really good. And then we spent the night at my brother's house in New Hampshire. Then we and then the next day and our plan was we were going to go to Waldorf, Maryland, so we could see my aunt that lives in Maryland, and my grandma's grave, because my grandma died when I was my grandma, she died when I was 5 years old, and I didn't really know her that much. But so yeah, we spent the night at my brother's house, and then the next day we we packed up our stuff, and we drove from New Hampshire to Maryland Maryland, and it took us like a few hours. I don't know how many hours it took us, but we had to pass by so many East Coast states. Like I think we had to pass by, I don't really remember because I fell asleep during the drive, but I think I can remember, but I do remember some of it. Like, I remember we passed through New York City, then New Jersey, and then Connecticut, I think. And yeah, I think that's all I know. Yeah, I think that's all I know. Those are the states that we passed by. And and um and then final and then in the evening we finally made it to Waldorf, Maryland, and I got and we stayed in the hotel for 2 days, and we stayed in a hotel in Maryland for 2 days. And the first night when we went to Maryland, we had dinner at Chili's, and we invited my aunt to to eat dinner with us. And I was actually so excited to see my aunts because I have one aunt that lives in Maryland and another aunt that lives in Virginia and two cousins that live in Virginia. So yeah, and I was really excited to see them because it had been 15 years since I haven't seen them because I mean sorry, bad grammar. It has been 15 years since I've seen them because I haven't seen my aunts or my cousins since I was 5 years old. Yeah, I was really really little when I the last time I the last time I saw my aunts and my cousins. So so the next day my other aunt came came to Maryland and she drove from Virginia to come to Maryland so she can visit me and my family and they got to and my aunts and my cousins got to and two of my aunts and my cousins got to meet my nieces and nephews because they because they've never met them before but and then a few years later they finally got to meet them and then we and then we and then we flew we drove from Maryland to Mount Vernon, Virginia so we could go to George Washington's house so we can see George Washington's house and I actually really enjoyed seeing George Washington's house and looking at all of the rooms, the old rooms and old old stuff that and old items and beds. And I actually saw the bed where George Washington passed away and it was and and yeah, but I didn't get to like go in the room because there was like because it was blocked so but the people that were in the museum said that bed that was in there that was in George Washington's house was the bed where George Washington passed away and so yeah and then we went to and then we went to the African slave memorial and and there were like strings marked on the graves where the slaves were buried because there were many African slaves that were working for George Washington and a lot of them died there. So so yeah, I got to experience that. I saw some dead African slaves that were buried near the African slave memorial. And then we flew back and then we stayed another night for and then we spent we and then we went back to Maryland and we spent the night there for and we stayed one more night in Maryland and then we said goodbye and then the next day we said goodbye to my aunts and my cousins and we drove from Maryland to New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut and Massachusetts. And then finally in the evening we made it back to New Hampshire and we only spent like we because we left Maryland on a Saturday. We left Maryland on a Saturday, so we it was only so we spent 4 days. Yeah, I think it was 4 days or something that we spent in New Hampshire, and I even got to see the chocolate factory. Well, it wasn't really a chocolate factory. I got to see a really cool candy store, and then on July 14th, um, our vacation in New Hampshire was over. So we we flew back. So we said goodbye to my brother and my sister-in-law and my nieces and nephews, and I told them that I'm gonna miss them because I haven't seen them since 2019 and I got so used to my nieces and nephews and my brother and my sister-in-law but we had to come back to Texas it was because my mom has a job and she can't stay, and she can't my mom can't stay on a long, and my mom didn't, I guess my mom didn't really ask for a long vacation. So yeah. So that is my, so we left, so the next day on July 14th we left, yeah, we left New Hampshire and we drove from New Hampshire to Boston, and then we flew from Boston back to North Carolina, and then we flew back here to Texas. And we landed here in Texas in the morning, and I really thank God that our flight to Texas didn't get delayed again in North Carolina, because I was like, I don't feel like staying a few more hours again in the airport waiting for my flight. So yeah, but on the way back, I got myself a New Jersey shirt, and even on my way back here to Texas, I also got myself a Boston, Massachusetts t-shirt. Yeah, it's really cool. I even got myself a t-shirt at the candy store in New Hampshire, and so that is my, and it was really fun that and it was really fun and that I went to the East Coast, and I got to, and I'm glad that I got to experience it again, because it has been 15 years since I've been there. So I'm glad that I got my chance to experience the East Coast again, and I I even, I at when I was at Mount Vernon, I really wanted to check out the Mount Vernon gift shop. So I went and checked out the Mount Vernon gift shop, and I saw a lot of items that was from the 1700s, and I wanted to go crazy buying the whole store, but I was like, nah, I can't do that, because the East Coast, it's expensive, period. There's no state in the East Coast that's cheap. All of the states in the East Coast is just really expensive. I mean, if the East Coast wasn't too expensive, I would have lived there, but God but God led us here to Texas, and God just said we were just meant to be here in Texas, not the East Coast. But even though the East Coast is still a happy place for me, I still like where I live, because at least I don't have to worry about expenses. So I'm going to close the vlog now. And if you guys are brand new to this channel, please make sure to like and subscribe and turn on that notification bell so you can get notified on YouTube videos I post. And I'll see you guys next time. See you later.